52% of American adults say they are middle class. That is according to Pew Research. But when you look at the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, the most comprehensive wealth study in the country, the actual middle class by net worth is closer to 20%. That means roughly 1 in every 2 people who call themselves middle class are wrong. Not by a little, by an entire class. And here is what makes this more than a labeling problem. If you misidentify your class, you budget wrong, you plan retirement wrong, you compare yourself to the wrong people, and you make financial decisions based on a position you do not actually hold. In a few minutes, I am going to show you the exact net worth number that separates the real middle class from upper middle, and it is not the number financial advisors use. It is not even close. But first, I need you to notice something. If you clicked on this video, you are probably someone who reads about retirement, checks your 401k more than you would admit, and still walks away feeling like you are somehow behind. Not because you are doing something wrong. Because the benchmarks you have been using were never designed to tell you the truth. They were designed to sell you something. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which layer of the pyramid you are really standing on. And most of you will be surprised not because the number is bad, but because the label you have been wearing your entire adult life does not match. There is a reason almost everyone gets this wrong, and it is not stupidity, it is design. The term middle class in America stopped being a financial category decades ago. It became a cultural identity. If you work hard, own a home, pay your taxes, and do not feel rich, you call yourself middle class. It does not matter if your net worth is $70,000 or $700,000, the label feels the same. And that is the problem. You have been wearing a label your entire life that has no number on the back. It just says middle class in big letters, and you never flipped it over to check. Think of it like walking into a store, grabbing a shirt off the rack and wearing it for 30 years without ever looking at the price tag. You assumed it fit because everyone around you seemed to be wearing the same one. But here's the thing they were not. Some of them were wearing a shirt 3 sizes smaller. Others were wearing one 3 sizes bigger. Everyone just agreed to call it the same name. Why does this happen? Because the financial industry profits from confusion. If everyone thinks they are middle class, everyone feels like they need the same products, the same mutual funds, the same advisory fees, the same target date retirement plans. The moment you realize you are actually in a different class, you start asking different questions. And different questions are bad for business. I spent years looking at real cases, not hypothetical models, but actual households with real numbers. And the pattern is always the same. People do not misclassify themselves by accident. They misclassify because no one ever gave them the actual pyramid. So let me give it to you now. The first 2 layers of the base are going to surprise a lot of people. Let us start at the base of the pyramid. Layer 1, lower class. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, roughly 25% of American households have a net worth below $32,000. And about 12% have a net worth of 0 or negative. That means 1 in 8 American families owe more than they own. Everything, home equity, retirement accounts, savings, cars, investments, adds up to less than what they owe. $32,000. Total wealth, not annual income. Everything you have built across your entire working life. Now here's the comparison that makes this real. If you took $32,000 and tried to live off it using the standard 4% withdrawal rule, you would get $1,280 per year. That is $107 a month. The average electric bill in the United States is $147. You cannot keep the lights on. That is what the bottom layer of the pyramid actually looks like. Not in theory. In dollars per month, that do not cover a single utility. Now, layer 2, lower middle class. This is where it gets uncomfortable. The lower middle class by net worth sits between roughly $32,000 and $175,000. If your number falls somewhere in that range, you are in the second layer from the bottom. And here's the part that most people miss. The median American household net worth, the exact midpoint where half the country is above and half is below, is about $193,000, which means the lower middle class ends just below the national median. Let that settle for a second. If your total net worth is $150,000, and that feels like a solid number, when you say it out loud, you are still in the second layer, not the middle, the lower middle. Take a couple, both 58, both working, combined household income of $95,000 a year. They own a home worth $210,000 with $130,000 still on the mortgage, a 401k with $62,000 between them, savings account with $11,000. When you add it all up and subtract the mortgage, their net worth comes to about $153,000. They have called themselves middle class for 30 years. By the numbers, they are lower middle. Not because they failed, because nobody ever showed them the pyramid. And here's the thing, they are not unusual. They are typical. The majority of households in this range have most of their wealth locked in a home they are still paying off. The 401k is there, but at $62,000, it is a start, not a finish. These are the two bottom layers. The next one, the actual middle, is where most Americans think they sit, and it is where the pyramid starts to lie. Layer 3, the real middle class. By net worth, the actual middle class in America sits between roughly $175,000 and $550,000. That is the range. If your total net worth, everything you own minus everything you owe, falls in that band, you are genuinely middle class. Now look at that range again. The floor is $175,000. The ceiling is $550,000. That is a wide gap. And the reason it matters is that most people who are actually in this layer do not feel middle class. They feel stretched. They feel like they should have more by now. They look at their 401k balance and wonder if it is enough. The answer depends entirely on which end of this range they sit, and most of them have never checked. Here's a quick way to test it. If you are between 55 and 65 years old and your net worth is somewhere around $300,000, you are almost exactly in the center of the middle class. Not lower middle, not upper middle, dead center. For most people watching this, that number is either a relief or a shock. Either way, it is the truth. But here is what makes the middle layer deceptive. Two households can have identical incomes and be in completely different classes. A couple earning $120,000 a year with a big mortgage, 2 car payments, and $40,000 in credit card debt might have a net worth of $80,000. Lower middle, another couple earning the exact same salary but living in a paid-off, modest home with consistent savings could have a net worth of $450,000. Solidly middle class, same paycheck, different layer of the pyramid entirely. And neither couple knows where the other one stands because nobody talks about net worth. Everyone talks about income. That contrast is going to become the central argument of this video. In a few minutes, I will show you exactly why income is the wrong scoreboard and why the right one changes everything. If you are finding this useful, subscribe. The YouTube algorithm will not keep showing you these videos without it. I do not sell courses. I do not have affiliate links. The deal is simple. You watch, I make more of these. Now, the next layer is where the entire argument shifts. Here is where most people need to sit down. You probably think your class is determined by how much you earn. It is not. Your class, your real structural financial class, is determined by how much you have kept. And those are two completely different numbers. What is net worth? It is the simplest and most brutal equation in personal finance. Add up everything you own, your home equity, your retirement accounts, your savings, your investments, the value of your car, any business interests, then subtract everything you owe, your mortgage balance, your car loans, your credit cards, your student loans, your medical debt. The number that is left is your net worth. That is your real position on the pyramid. Not your salary, not your job title, not the neighborhood you live in. And this is where the label starts to peel off. The Federal Reserve data shows that households in the 75th percentile of income, meaning they earn more than 75% of the country, have a median net worth of about $745,000. That puts them in the upper middle class. But households at the 50th percentile of income, perfectly average earners who happen to have been disciplined savers for 30 years, can have a net worth north of $400,000. That pushes them into solid middle class territory, sometimes knocking on the door of upper middle. Meanwhile, a surgeon earning $350,000 a year with $1.2 million in student debt, a $700,000 mortgage, and a lifestyle that matches the paycheck might have a net worth of $150,000. Lower middle class. A surgeon, you probably thought the problem was not earning enough. It is not. The real problem is that income is a speedometer and net worth is the odometer. The speedometer tells you how fast you are going right now. The odometer tells you how far you have actually traveled. And you can drive fast your whole life and end up nowhere if you never stay on the right road. Remember that label I mentioned, the one you have been wearing without checking the back? This is what is written on the back. Not your income, your net worth. And for about half the people watching this video, the number on the back does not match the word on the front. Here is the data that makes this concrete. According to the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, the median net worth for households aged 55 to 64 is about $364,000. That is the midpoint. Half are above, half are below. For households aged 65 to 74, it rises to about $410,000. Now compare that to what people in those age groups think they need. Most financial planning benchmarks suggest you need between $1 million and $1.5 million to retire comfortably. That means the median American household approaching retirement has between 25 and 36% of what the industry says they need. But, and this is critical, the industry benchmark was not designed to measure financial health. It was designed to measure the gap between where you are and where the advisory industry can charge you fees to get to. The bigger the gap feels, the more valuable the advisor seems. That is not conspiracy, that is business model. The number that actually separates middle class from upper middle class by net worth is around $550,000. I promised you that number at the beginning. There it is. If your net worth is above $550,000, you are not middle class anymore, whether you feel like it or not. You have crossed into the fourth layer of the pyramid. And that brings us to the most counterintuitive part. The two layers at the top of the pyramid reveal something that most high net worth households would never say out loud. Layer 4, upper middle class. Net worth between $550,000 and $2 million. This is the layer that nobody talks about because the people in it do not think they belong there. This is the stealth wealth layer. These are the households with paid off or nearly paid off homes, maxed out 401k accounts, maybe a rental property or a brokerage account they opened 15 years ago and just kept feeding. They drive reliable cars. They shop at the same grocery store they always have. Their neighbors have no idea. And when you ask them what class they are, they say middle class. Every single time. The Federal Reserve data shows that households in the 75th to 90th percentile of net worth, which is this layer hold between $700,000 and $1.9 million, yet Pew Research shows that households in this exact range are more likely to call themselves middle class than upper middle. Why? Because their income often looks middle class. They are not earning $500,000 a year. Many are earning between $80,000 and $150,000. They just kept more of it than everyone else did. This is the inversion that breaks most people's mental model. You assume the upper middle class earns a lot. In reality, the upper middle class kept a lot. Massive difference. Now, layer 5, the top of the pyramid, upper class, net worth above $2 million. This represents roughly the top 10% of American households. And the numbers climb fast. From here, the top 5% starts around 3.7 million, and the top 1% begins near 13 million. But here is what matters for this video. The distance between the bottom of the upper class and the top of the upper class is staggering. Someone with 2.5 million and someone with 15 million are technically in the same layer. They do not live in the same universe. The pyramid does not just narrow at the top, it stretches vertically in ways that no flat percentage chart can capture. And this is where the mechanism comes full circle. Remember why everyone misclassifies? Because the financial industry benefits from a compressed middle. If everyone feels middle class, everyone buys the same products. But the real pyramid has 5 distinct layers with dramatically different financial realities, and the industry treats 3 of them as one. That is not an accident. It is a pricing strategy. When you flatten 5 layers into one label, you can sell the same target date fund to someone with $80,000 in net worth and someone with $800,000. Same product, same fee percentage, vastly different appropriateness. That is what the confusion costs you, not just identity. Dollars. Now you have the full pyramid. Every layer, every threshold. The question is, what do you do with this information? So, where are you? By now you have seen all 5 layers, and if you are like most people watching this, you have been doing the math in your head since layer 1. Add up the house, subtract the mortgage. Add the retirement accounts, Add savings, subtract debts. The number you landed on, that is your layer. And here's the part I promised at the beginning. Most of you moved, not physically, but mentally. You came into this video wearing a label that said middle class, and somewhere in the last several minutes, you either confirmed it or you did not. The data says that if you are between 55 and 65 years old, there is roughly a 50% chance you are in a different class than the one you have been claiming. Not by a little, by an entire layer of the pyramid. Here's the number I want you to carry with you. Tell someone at dinner tonight. The median American between 55 and 64 has a net worth of $364,000. That places them exactly in the middle of layer 3. Genuinely middle class, not aspirationally. Actually, if your number is above that, you are higher on the pyramid than you thought. If your number is below it, you now know exactly where to aim. Knowing your layer is the first step. Here are the 3 that come after. Takeaway 1. Calculate your real net worth this week, not your income, not your retirement projection, your actual net worth today. Open a spreadsheet or grab a blank page. On one side, list every asset at its current value home equity, not the home's full price. Subtract the remaining mortgage, retirement accounts at today's balance, savings and brokerage accounts, the resale value of vehicles you own outright. On the other side, list every liability remaining: mortgage, car loans, credit card balances, any personal or medical debt. Subtract liabilities from assets. That number is your net worth. Compare it to the 5 layers. Do not compare it to your neighbor. Do not compare it to a financial planning benchmark designed to make you feel behind. Compare it to the pyramid. Find your layer. Takeaway 2. Stop using income as your financial identity. This is the hardest one because income is what the world sees. Your job title, your tax bracket, your lifestyle, all income signals, but none of them tell you which layer you are actually standing on. Start tracking your net worth every 90 days. Run the same calculation quarterly. What matters is not the absolute number, it is the direction. If your net worth is growing faster than your income, you are climbing the pyramid. If it is flat or shrinking while your income stays the same, you are sliding down while wearing a label that says you are standing still. Flip the label over, check the number on the back. Takeaway 3, audit your financial products against your actual layer, not the one you assumed. If you are in layer 4, upper middle class with net worth above $550,000 and you are still in a target date fund designed for the broad middle, you are likely overpaying in fees for a product that underperforms your actual position. If you are in layer 2, lower middle, with net worth under $175,000, and your advisor has you in an aggressive growth portfolio benchmarked to the S&P 500, you are absorbing risk that your net worth cannot survive. The product should match the layer. The layer is determined by net worth, not income, not age alone, not what the advisory firm's questionnaire decided you are comfortable with. There is a version of you that walked into this video wearing a label, middle class. It felt right. It felt safe. It was what everyone around you was wearing, so you never questioned it. Now you have seen the pyramid. You know the layers. You know the thresholds. And you know that the label on the front was never the point. It is the number on the back that determines where you actually stand. The most financially secure people I have ever studied did not get there by earning the most. They got there by knowing exactly where they were, no illusions, no borrowed labels, and making every decision from that position. Not the position they wish they held, the position they actually occupied. It will feel uncomfortable to reclassify yourself. It will feel strange to stop calling yourself what you have always called yourself. But accuracy is not an insult. It is a starting point. The safest retirement I have ever seen was not built with brilliance. It was built with patience and the refusal to be impressed by noise. It will be boring. It will work.